Kenny, it's been a couple of weeks since we've had a chance to catch up and talk about Whitworth women's basketball. Over the course of those four games, the Pirates have won two and lost two. Um, Take us back through from a hard fought loss to a nationally ranked team against Whitman to a good road win at Linfield on Saturday night. Take us back through that progression and what you've seen and how our team has grown.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned that Whitman performance was, a lot of positive signs for us. I think it was really kind of a theme we've had where it's, a 5 minute segment in just one quarter has kind of been not necessarily the downfall, but just kind of something you look back on after the contest finishes and you say, this is where we let it get away from us, whether that's a few turnovers here or there or just kind of a dry spell on offense. That's what it was in that second quarter here against Whitman, where we really did a good job in the first quarter and then battled back in the third and fourth and did a lot of positive things. Just had too big of a deficit to try to recover from in that second. But a lot of positive things. I think one of the big keys for our group has been execution of our game plan defensively has been something really positive. It just came down to the offensive side of just making shots in some of those games where things are a little tighter and it's a low scoring, low possession game. Rebounded well in our game that Friday against Lewis and Clark down at their place. Kind of felt like a closer game than, the score kind of showed closer than what it felt like. They hit the three, the half court shot late in the game. But I think it was something where just executing and having that lead wire to wire was something that felt pretty positive, except for maybe a few minutes in the second quarter. And like you mentioned last week down in Portland again, playing Fox first, then Linfield. Foul trouble, I think it's something that plagued us on the interior with Z and Alyssa both. Felt like they were in foul trouble for essentially all 80 minutes of those games. So, giving up, I think it was 23-13 or something. Maybe we were down at the end of the first at Fox, and then the big reason for that was so many free throws. I think they shot 12 or 13 free throws that first quarter, which was all self-inflicted, and then the rest of the game they only shot 12. So really just having to clean it up defensively and playing with much more discipline, and then being able to turn around quickly one night later at Linfield was a big positive of only turning the ball over 5 times. Even still with some of the foul issues, being able to limit that to only maybe 1 or 2 people allowed us to, I think lead that game in each of, the 4 quarters, obviously the fourth being the most important, and just having a tough nose response from our seniors, especially starting 3 seniors in that one, was a big sign of positives to come for us, and just knowing that we need to keep shoring up things and not taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Talk a little bit about Kim Dewey and her ability to produce. At this point in the season, she's not catching anybody by surprise, and the opponents are really focusing their defensive efforts on her, and yet she's still able to come up with a big game and a big performance, especially at Linfield where she had some huge buckets down the stretch. How has she been able to elevate her game so much this season?
I think coming into the season, we just knew it was something where a lot of our offensive load was going to be on her shoulders, and a big key for us was we want you to be able to be super impactful in all of those minutes. And I think it was something that she came into the season, even before in, the preseason conditioning, she was in awesome shape. And I think that's been a big turning point for her, just being able to not just be on the floor for 28 or 30 minutes, but knowing that it's probably touching her hands every time. And she's not only scoring, but also her assist numbers have risen as we've got, deeper into the season. And also, like you mentioned, it's not by surprise for anybody now. And I think that, we try to do as best of a job as possible as a staff of putting her in different spots all around the floor, running things through her, even when it's not to get a shot. Maybe it's for a post feed or just a ball screen to create for others. So even though the ball is going through her, it's in so many different ways that's really, makes it difficult. Obviously, she had a tough night on Friday, but for her, it's really a make or miss thing. She's really hard on herself and takes a lot of responsibility for how we do. But like you said, rebounded well on Saturday. I think she hit half her shots for another 20-point performance, and that was awesome for Kim. We're going to need that again this weekend.
This weekend, hosting Puget Sound and Pacific Lutheran to finish out the first half of the conference schedule. Looking for our first home win of the season as well. If we manage to win twice this weekend, we're square, even 500 in the conference. Talk about the challenge of being able to do that and what each of these teams brings to the game.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where it's going to be nice to be back home, after being away for felt like a week and a half or so, but having a little home stretch now is always nice, kind of before that halfway point of the conference slate. the big challenge will be Friday night taking care of the basketball against Puget Sound. Looking back at that film and prep for playing them on Friday. It's something where it's just going to be all about getting shots, even though there sometimes might feel like they're a little rushed or it might feel a little hectic and chaotic for all 40 minutes. Just getting shots and not allowing them to turn our turnovers into layups, but being able to get a shot up, make or miss, get back and set our defense is going to be a key. And then Saturday it's going to be a much slower, deliberate game on both ends, and just being able to execute against PLU. But I really think the big thing is everyone in our conference has beaten everybody. I think with Lewis and Clark taking down PLU on, it was either Friday or Saturday night, everybody's beaten everybody. And I know Bud and I talked about it, how much parity there is in our conference is probably something that hasn't been seen before, on either side, especially in my 2 years. So I think that's something where you need your A game on every night to be able to be in contest and be able to come away at the end of the 40 minutes with a win.